What's going on, everybody? I'm so used to Mike. What's going on, everybody? It's Wednesday, and when it's Wednesday, it's Sports Lounge Media Day.
Yeah. What's up, everybody? What's up? How's everyone doing today?
Yes. How you guys
Very
doing?
good.
Appreciate it.
Glad to be back. I missed you guys.
I'm gonna say, did it feel weird not being on the show for like a couple weeks? What, 2 weeks?
2 weeks. I did. I definitely missed you guys for sure. I missed talking sports with you all.
Yeah, we give you a hard time about things. So everyone, we want to welcome you guys to the Sports Lounge Media. We here are to take care of all our sponsors real quick, and of course, first and foremost, we've got the number one sports fan here in Tulare, Visalia, Hanford, along with West Covina, California. We also have Brian Martino Construction. Hit up Brian at brianmartinoconstruction.com. You mentioned Sports Lounge Media, and he'll give you $1,000 off any project that is $10,000 or more. And we also have Cali Built Graphics, who take care of all of our shirts, hats, everything. So we've got a lot of stuff that's going on in the works. The web page is actually in the process as we, not the web page, excuse me, the web store is in the process as we spoke about. So you're going to start seeing, some more merchants being tossed out there, stuff like that. And of course, last but not least, our biggest one and the one thing, we are powered by the Mogul brand and the Diamond Collection. All you got to do is hit them up at poweredbytmv.com and put in the Sports Lounge Media, and you get 20% off your order. So with that being said, Sarai, what do you know? I mean, have you tried the Diamond Collection?
I have tried the Diamond Collection. I actually tried it the other day for the first time, and I really enjoyed it. It was a little different, right? Because your water turns black, but I think that's where you find all your minerals that's found in that. So I really have enjoyed it. I drank some of it this morning as well. So let's see how it goes. I'm excited.
So one of the things, so if you guys go and you start using that the Diamond Collection, just so you know, when you actually make it, so if you put it in the freezer, just so you guys know, it actually separates. It looks kind of it's like, hold on, is this like oil and water type thing? No, that is not the truth.
Right.
It is actually 100% healthy. Actually, Kendall at Ken Pat Talks, he actually just showed up the bottle real quick. So he also has it. It's just a droplets is all that it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually one of the healthiest waters, and the pH balance that's on it. Just to be honest, I actually have used it for quite a while, and it helps restore certain things in your body. Some people say, man, I need energy, and people say I started drinking this stuff on a consistent basis. They felt like they were more energized. Myself, I struggle with sleeping. And so I was drinking, a little, some of it every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like I was going into a deeper sleep, because I have quite a bit of, so it fills in that lack that a lot of people don't realize that you're actually missing. So a lot of people think, oh, it's going to make this high. It's like, no. It balances you out is what's a great thing about it. So with that being said, of course, we are going to be talking about the NFL. Already in the comments, we got Billy's on sitting there saying, hey, it's right, of course. So actually, just so everyone knows, this is normally one of the things we do have a special guest, and that's, of course, is Ken Pat's Talks. He is also part of the Sports Lounge Media, talking on all of your Patriot stuff. He actually is very knowledgeable when it comes to that, when it comes to the game itself. So for those of you guys don't realize, it's like, wait a second, why is there other people on other channels? So what we do at SLM on Wednesday nights, whenever we have one of our other shows that are with us, we always make sure we're also going live on their channels. So don't think this is weird. It's like, wait, why did he have other people? This is not normal. So with that being said, no, this is normal for what we do. We've had multiple people. We always make sure we're cross promoting and letting everyone see, the hosts of the shows. Of course, like we've got the Marshall Experience at SLM. We've also got John Hamilton at SLM Bets, and we've got DP at Down South Philly Show. He also has Prime Time. So we've had each one of them actually on, and we always make sure we do that. So again, now with that all said, let's get into the NFL Week 2. So we're going to do a quick recap of the big games. Not all the games. We're just going to go over the big games. But the one game that I'm obviously going to start with is the September 11th game on the Thursday night with the Packers and Commanders. Packers ended up beating them 27-18, which
Mhm.
a lot of people, I myself, as a Packers fan, I thought it was going to be a little closer than that. I mean, that defense has stepped up. I know last night Sarai was on TikTok and they were talking about Jordan Love going into the elite status, and like Jordan Love hasn't even made it to the above average status, in my personal opinion. He's still, being who he is. They are relying on a substantially good defense, is their big thing. Another big game that I saw was the BTA that the Detroit Lions gave the Chicago Bears. Everyone keeps saying, "Oh, Caleb Williams, all this stuff." I've said it since day one that they drafted him. Everyone says, "Oh, it's because you hate Caleb Williams." No, it's not, because to me, I spent a lot of time watching college football, and I watched him leave Oklahoma where he saw a challenge, end up going to USC. It's like, hold on, let me stat my stat my numbers, or pat statting. Sorry,
A little bit of stumbling of words.
yeah, brain is going way too fast right now. But anyway, goes to USC to do the whole pat statting and everything like that. And for me, like I said, I just don't see, he has not caught up to the speed of the game. And I said it when they drafted him, I was like, that's going to be a mistake. And so far, it's still proving wrong. Or no, actually, it is proving right. I've still said, everyone's like, you would have given him a couple years. No, I've said it before. I'll say it again. Caleb Williams, in my personal opinion, has been a bust at the number one pick. I don't think he deserved to be it, but it was one of the things, because Drake May came out of that, correct, Kendall, out of that draft?
2023,
Yeah.
2024 draft.
Yeah.
24, yeah. And so now I'm going to ask this question. Since you saw someone come out of that draft for your team, now set aside your team, okay? If you have to take the pick, if you have the chance to take Caleb or Drake May, who you taking?
Drake May.
Drake May?
Drake May.
Now, is that because of the Patriots, or because you've spent a lot of time watching him, or is it because you just see the consistency?
Even before we even took him in April, I went to the combine a couple years ago and I met him down there, talked with him and stuff like that. Met him at the combine. I was down there. He's a great person. Then with him being from North Carolina, I'm from North Carolina. I saw him play at UNC a lot. Went to a game or so. So Drake May. I wasn't big on Caleb Williams, even when he was at Oklahoma, I think. So
Right.
I'm not. He freelances a lot too much for me. Drake May coming out, he was raw, and I think Drake May, man, just overall, I'm going May. I think you can see right now the potential. If you see what Caleb Williams is working with right now with the Bears, DJ Moore, Roma Dunze, Loveland, a good offensive line, an offensive coach, and they're 0-2, they're still struggling. And you see what Drake May working with now. Even this year, it's better, but you see what May's working with, it's not even close.
Yeah.
And I think there was rumors that the Bears were laughing at Drake May film and stuff like that. I don't know if y'all saw that, but I wonder who's laughing now, though. That's all I'm saying. That's early. They're just 0-2, but things could turn around. But Drake May, and Drake May and twice on Sundays. Give me May.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to toss that question to you real quick. The same exact thing, because obviously we know you're a diehard Eagle. You love Jalen Hurts. Now you are in charge of the draft. You don't have Jalen Hurts, but you have the offense that the Eagles have.
Mm-hmm.
Are you putting Caleb Williams? Are you drafting Caleb Williams, or are you drafting Drake May?
I would go with May too. I was never really sold on Caleb Williams either. I think even last year, I feel like he was very quick to get rid of the ball real quick. Wasn't very conscience knowing. I feel like he's just still lost in a lot of plays and ways that he runs the ball. So I would definitely go with Drake May as well.
Yeah. All right. So there it is right there. So that's two people. This is a third one, actually. Caleb Williams is a bust and Drake May is going to be a good quarterback. I mean, so you're seeing it across the board. Like I said, when you're 0-2, and then what they did last year with that offense, we've talked about it on SLM quite often. I would say you give Justin Fields the team that the Bears have. Justin Fields is going into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone kept saying, "Oh, well, Ben Johnson." But no, at the end of the day, the problem that they have, it's not the coaching. Everyone wanted to blame the coaching. Everyone's always going to blame the coaching, no matter what sport you're playing. The coach is always going to be blamed. And with that being said, who's the one making the plays?
I'm going to be interested real quick. Are we still in the break? I want to see how this thing ends. Cause Ben Johnson comes across as a guy that doesn't really like. He's straight up, just comes across as just I don't. It's tough to explain, but I don't know if the Ben Johnson Caleb Williams marriage is going to last long. Cause I thought, and I'm sure we're going to talk about it shortly. Mike McDaniel, he might be getting fired soon. Now we thought Mike McDaniel and Tua would work, and it did from an offensive perspective. That Tua and Dolphins looked pretty good, but I want to see how this thing how this going to operate because I'm sure Ben Johnson wouldn't have went to Chicago if he didn't. I mean, Caleb Williams is there, so I'm sure if he didn't really like him, he wouldn't have went there or whatnot. But what more do you need? You got a tight end. You had a good draft. They rebuilt the offensive line. You got receivers. So
you got two tight ends because you
yeah,
remember Cole Kmet is a Pro Bowler.
Yeah,
and then they went and drafted his future replacement in Colton Loveson out of Michigan. And so I'm just like, dude, like what
Drake
more
May
do you
had
need?
his excuses last year. Bad offensive line, bad coach, bad personnel, bad rookie, everything was just a mess last year. And he still went to the Pro Bowl last year. So and with Caleb, when I know the Pro Bowl easy to get into now, he was an alternate, but still he went there. With Caleb Williams, like what's gonna be the excuse? He's been healthy. You got all the talent, you got the coaching, we think. Ben Johnson bring some guys from the Lions there. I want it's gonna be interesting to see how this thing ends in Chicago.
Yeah, the crazy thing. So long story short is when your quarterback that comes out and says, I will not play for the Chicago Bears before the draft, and you still draft him, that just tells you the dysfunction that they are having in the front office.
Right.
Because, I mean, we've seen people hold out. You know, we saw obviously Eli Manning sit there and say, "I am not going to play for the Chargers." That actually came from his dad. Now, he of course went to the Giants, won 2 Super Bowls. It actually worked out good for both of them. I mean, I look at it this way: what happens if Phillip Rivers ends up in New York? Do they go to the Super Bowl? I don't know. You know, it's a tough situation, but that's what was dealt. But we've also seen guys like John Elway. He refused to play for the Baltimore Colts. And he's like, I'll go play baseball first, you know, or you trade me. And that's exactly what happened. You know, so we've seen this happen where they've threatened holdouts, like I'm not playing for that team.
I do wonder though if he did say that last year, would the Bears take Jaden Daniels? I'm sure they probably take Daniels and not May. But I wonder what the Bears would do because we didn't hear anything about them. Because normally the number one overall pick, we know what they're going to do months in advance before the draft. We already know. Right. So I never heard them linked to Jaden Daniels, but I actually thought Jaden Daniels was a more pro-rated quarterback based off all the college starts he had. It'd be interesting if he came out and said he's not going to go there because I thought Caleb was going to try to get to Washington. You know, he's from DC. I thought he was going to try to get to the DC area. That would have been a good fit for him. But it would be interesting to see how that would have went because I really couldn't see Jaden Daniels in Chicago. But I mean, who knows?
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, I can't see him there. I couldn't see him there. So I want to know if the Bears would have moved on to Jaden Daniels because they don't like May clearly, and then Williams don't want to go to you. What you going to do?
Yeah, that to me, it's like, hey, let me figure out. You know, this guy who we know is the projected number one. Why am I not going to try and call Washington? Because they already had a second pick. They had the ninth pick, and they took Rome Odunze.
Yeah,
you know, in that draft.
He hasn't done much. That could be predicated on the quarterback too, though. So,
well, I'm just going to say this. You know, we watched the Chargers play Monday night, and of course they got Keenan Allen back. Now, you all got to remember, Keenan Allen was with the Bears. And so it's like you got DJ Moore, you got Keenan Allen, and then they go and draft Odunze, who's going to go in as the number 3. Keenan Allen didn't do nothing. Odunze didn't do nothing. Like, you got wide receivers that DJ Moore, he was basically the go-to guy, but he was having, he had to be wide open. So where's your problem? Is it the play calling? No, again, it falls back on the quarterback. They need to stop blaming the coaches. Yeah. You got guys that are out there on the field that can't do what the coaches are saying. So if you can't do it, get rid of them.
Like, where's the leadership in that?
Exactly. And that's the problem. There's always a fall guy. There's always a patsy in everything, in every sport. And it's unfortunate we either see the coordinators or we see the head coaches. You know, it's like, hold up. This guy did what in Detroit, and yet they just got the tar beat out of them with two brand new coordinators that are still learning. The team's learning their system. So that's where I'm just like, I don't think it's the coaching issue. I'm going to say it's Caleb's issue.
I do think. Well, before we move on, I know we harping on the Bears bad. I think they get now. I'm not a Cowboys hater, but I do think they get their first win this Sunday against Dallas. That's one of my picks for this week. I just got a crazy feeling. It feel like the sky's falling in Chicago. Dallas coming off a big overtime win to the Giants, and I just got a feeling that Bears going to beat the Cowboys Sunday. I just got a crazy feeling and get their first win.
That's going to be interesting. I don't know. So, but on to the next one. So, obviously, your Patriots beat the Dolphins 33-27.
And I told you they were going to win.
And you say Kendall was he kept on like, man, Dolphins got it. They always manage to find a way
to never win down there.
And
that's how I feel with the Bucks. I feel like we never beat the Bucks, so I'm hoping that because I gave you good luck, I'm hoping we get that same luck when we go play the Bucks, because that's one game I'm just like, we need this to win. I need this to win.
So another one, obviously we had Kendall mention it, the Cowboys and the Giants. That actually was a very stressful and interesting game. Goes into overtime. It was a 64-yard field goal to send it into overtime.
Man, he's got a leg on him.
Yeah, I'm just like, I was like, thank you.
People were saying he could have made it from for 70 yards. Like people that were literally at the game were saying he could have probably made a 70. Like that. You're so good.
Now I'll say this: when you're playing inside, like they did, it does help because you aren't dealing with the elements. Two, I've watched that game and I've spent quite a long time. I actually have players I coached in high school with the kickers, and I actually had players that go on to coach into the college level. And one of them actually ended up going back to our alma mater here where I'm from. And they're kicking 55. They came in kicking, honestly 25, 30 was their max. When they graduated, I worked with them on a consistent basis and they were up to 55. So I've looked at that. I'm like, dude, you got like 3 more yards. You sitting there and watching that at the 64 when you just stated right there, Spry, hey, could he have kicked it 70? I mean, where he had hit that, he had at least another 5 yards on that leg.
There was not a tilt in that at all. That kick was just like straight.
So to me, I'm just like, okay, yeah, dude can kick. So that was a big one. The other one actually was the Colts and the Broncos. Yep. Colts come back to win that game.
I told y'all about them Colts.
Hey,
the Colts are starting to look pretty far.
I mean, they're still. I don't know. We'll have to hear in a little bit here shortly. We're going to see if they're in anybody's power rankings. But obviously, the last but not least, Eagles managed to beat the Chiefs once again. So I don't know. To me, I'm not seeing the offense. I know Sarai was live last night. We were talking, on TikTok, and we were talking about this. And I brought up the fact is that Jalen has been struggling. A lot of people keep saying like, "Oh, he's a top 5 quarterback. He's a top 5 quarterback." Oh man,
did he have a passing touchdown yet this year?
He hasn't. And our passing yards have been kind of low. I think people also forget that we.
Okay, real quick before you go on. So real quick before we go on, so we got DP actually, down south. He says, "I wish Washington would have drafted Caleb, of course, because you wanted to sit there and I mean, he already runs a lot. Could you imagine how much you imagine how much he would have to run against Philly? I'm just like, dude, please. Now we had he said you had a crazy feeling Dallas was going to beat Philly, Ken. That's just gas. So, hey." You did. Like I think.
Hey, that game was close. Cowboys could have. Hey, if CD catches 2 of those 4 passes, we're having a different conversation right now. Cowboys beat Philly, I think. Yeah, he dropped 4. If he catches about 2 of them, I think Dallas wins that game.
And then, of course, when it comes to the Colts, we've got Indiana Jones who's leading the helm right now. So, with that being said, obviously, like I said, now going back to the Eagles and Chiefs. So, when it comes to the passing game, I'm going to let you finish what you're saying, but I'm going to bring up this stat.
Mm-hmm.
In the playoffs from last year and the first games so far this season, Jalen Hurts is only averaging 163 yards passing a game. I mean, I'm not seeing, you've won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Right.
Again, it's a 52-man roster, 53-man roster, whatever it is. They add numbers all the time. I don't care what it is. My answer to that is it's a team sport.
Mhm.
Well,
I just don't see him as an overall, like a top five athlete. I would most definitely say. One of the things that's a big controversy we see, obviously, going across all the other sporting channels, again, is still the tush push this last weekend. We saw both guards that were offsides. Refs were not calling it. It happened actually three times that, to my count, that they showed different plays in each one in the first three quarters. So, athletic wise, yeah, dude's top five, no problem. But I don't see a top five quarterback. Again, I'm old school though. When I think of quarterback, I think of a guy that can pass. And if you're passing 163 yards a game on average, that just shows you that I'm relying heavily on the run,
Right.
in which we've all talked about, and I've said it before, two things to win Super Bowl. You got to have a defense. You got to have a run game.
Yeah.
I think you got to look at the trajectory of the games though. So far, both these games, they haven't really trailed. Well, I think the Chiefs had them up by like a touchdown or a field goal probably. They really haven't trailed a lot. The Cowboys, they dominated their game, and Jalen Hurts had a couple rushing touchdowns. And
Mhm.
against the Chiefs, they kind of controlled that game for the most part. So they really haven't trailed. And Jalen Hurts is not going to get out there and drop back 30 times, have 30, 35. That's not what they're going to do.
Yeah.
They're going to be better than they won it last year. That's just how they're going to be. I think he can do it if asked to do it, but they haven't. Don't blame the Eagles for that. Blame the team they're going against. They can't get a lead on them or whatnot. And we really haven't seen. When the last time we've seen the Eagles play from behind at least 2 touchdowns, at least 10 points? It's been a while.
You're not going to see that. I agree with that.
They've been
You're not
controlling all these games, and they're going to keep getting these 4th and 1s. And a lot of fans, it's not going to sell tickets. It's not pretty ball, but guess what? They're winning. They're winning. They're winning games.
I will say this about Jalen Hurts. People also forget how many coordinators he's been through.
Mm-hmm.
Every year, it's a different coordinator. It's a different playbook. I think as well as this year, people are expecting us to be the Super Bowl #1 defense and then the top one, one of the top offenses as well. And I think the biggest thing is, one, we have a new offensive coordinator. Kevin has never called plays. He is starting to be he's trying to be this offensive coordinator. So I think we have to kind of give not slack, but I feel like we have to give a little grace for that. And also regarding the tush push, right? So there was the defenders and the offenders on both sides, from all camera angles. The Chiefs they had 2 of their offensive linemen right over the football as well, if you look at it from the side angle. So I do agree that there's a lot of false starts. Jason Kelsey actually mentioned it in his podcast that, hey, when you the whole thing about doing the quarterback sneak or the tush push, a lot of people call it, is that you have to get to the line of scrimmage fast and you have to be ready to thrust. That's really what it is. So it's they say, yeah, when you slow it down and you do snippets and pics of the tush push, you're gonna see all the faults in it. But in that moment, the refs are even not even set up either. So it's a quick 1 second, ready, count it down, 3, 2, 1, and go. And so the whole tush push, perhaps everybody's saying now that we just need that the refs need to stay guarded, and make it a fair play. So people also forget, stop us from being at a 1 yard play. That's really what it is. That's just an extra magic trick we have in our pocket. But yeah, I don't know if I would agree with Jalen not being a top 5. He's always been a top 5 in mine. But I would definitely say that people also have to realize that right now our passing game, it's hard to have those explosive plays, because right now what is working for us, the Eagles have always tried to be a run offense. That's just what we've always wanted to be known for. And so it's great. There's times they've been guarding AJ Brown a lot these past games. Literally 2 people are always on AJ. And So yeah, so that's just kind of my thoughts on the Eagles game. Now, I will say that yeah, we don't have the explosive offense. Our defense is a little bit still weak in the back side of the defense. But I think that a lot of the people that are stepping up, Makuba had a great play. I mean, he picked off from what Kelsey dropped the ball. So I thought that was a good play for coming from Makuba. Jihad Campbell's doing great. So yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of like good instances for the Eagles. So it's kind of my take.
I'm just gonna make this comment that play that Makuba made, fantastic, play.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, man, you got to get your cardio up because you just got tracked down.
Yeah, Saquon's like, I think I need to teach you how to get to the end zone and like how to dodge a big offensive lineman.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, you just got ran down by a 6'5", 360-pound lineman. I'm like, bro, like you seriously, you got to pick up that cardio. You got to do something. So we got down south, saying he's not a top 5. He's a top 3. If he needs number 3, I'm just like, and the question is if he can pass. We know he can pass. Jalen makes all the throws, but a ton of passing yards shouldn't be measurement of good play. No, you're right, but he is so far on the season. He's 34-45. He has a 75% completion rating. He's got 253 yards total. Averaging at 126. So to me, you're seeing, yes, you're going to be a run heavy team. And that tells me that you need to be, if you're playing against Philadelphia, the team that they have, I will never call an NFL team a super team. Not like you do in basketball or anything like that. Now they do, because a lot of their players were drafted. There were very few that actually were, picked up as free agents. So,
and we have a pretty young defense. Like I think people are forgetting that as well.
The defense is young, but my thing is this, now so do I agree, you don't need a lot of yards, but averaging 126 yards a game, that's rushing stats. That's what you want out of your running back, not out of the passing game. So that's where it's like, what do I got to do? If you have coverage on AJ, Devontae is getting, both those guys, all you got to do is protect the run.
Yeah.
As for the whole brotherly shove, tush push, quarterback sneak, whatever you want to call it, when you got 2 guys, we've talked about it, that can squat a combined over 1,000 pounds. I don't care who you are.
I did want to ask Sarah. Speaking of AJ Brown, how long? I mean, do you think he's okay with this as long as they're winning, or do you think it's going to get to a point where maybe he? I don't think Devontae Smith's that type of person, but I think with AJ Brown we've seen in the past, do you think it could become a problem with him? Like, as long as y'all winning, you think he'd be okay? I mean, he got a ring, he's had his Pro Bowls, he got yards. I mean, they gave him a contract last year, whatnot. They paid him. He's out there getting suited up, put his pads and stuff, but he's not getting the ball. So it's like, why even dress? So do you think it will become an issue, or you think as long as y'all winning, he'd keep his mouth shut, it won't be a problem?
So news did come out that there was a lot of teams that were trying to trade out for AJ Brown this summer. And of course, Howie definitely said no. I'm pretty sure he had conversations with AJ as well, because I know that Howie is that type of person. But I think AJ, I mean, he's said it in the past 2 press conferences, like the goal for the team is winning. He understands that it's going to come, but he's got to do what he's got to do as of right now. I don't think he's okay with it necessarily, right? Because that's still kind of like your stats. It's your numbers. It's something that if you ever get traded or whatever the case may be, like that's what teams are going to look at. But I don't think that he's the diva that people make him out to be. I think he's had a lot of growth. Maybe
isn't he dealing with a hamstring issue or something?
He was dealing with a hamstring issue, and I think too, if I'm honest with you, now that you bring that up, sometimes I feel that like the Eagles are really good at like kind of like hiding these injuries, or the guys like automatically are like, they tell the trainers like, no, you're not taking me out, like you're going to leave me in, and they fight that on the sideline. But I think that sometimes for the Eagles, if I'm honest with you, like just like in the Super Bowl, like I feel like they either play through injuries, or if they are well known for like hamstring or elbow or whatever it is, I feel like they like have different plays, or they pull them out, or they maybe like designate plays that aren't going to make AJ run 60 yards because of his hamstring.
Right.
So that's kind of how I see it when it comes to bringing that up. But yeah, he has been down because of a hamstring.
So down south says the offense does look bad right now, though, but a lot of people can't defend it. I mean, it is, again, it's tough to stop a run, because nowadays, like, you prepare for, that is the one good thing when it comes to the style of quarterback that Jalen Hurts is. He's able to get out of the pocket when it's needed, and it does make it a threat. We see that compared to the old school, the pocket passers. It's like, what do I got to do? I mean, everyone knows, obviously, I got the GOAT, behind me, his jersey hanging up, Peyton Manning. We watched that dude. That I don't think that brother ran more than 30 yards in his career. I mean, he did not run. It's like, hold on, let me just drop. I'm done. Like, I can't do it. So the style of play in the NFL has changed drastically, which I do try to give credit where credit is due. When you have a team and you know what your strengths are, the Philadelphia Eagles are playing to those strengths. To me, though, they should be doing a, coordinator or not. We watched the Kansas City Chiefs last year, with what happened to them in the Super Bowl. To all of a sudden coming to week 2, it's like, okay, they're playing without Worthy's out. She's right. I mean, there was nobody for them to throw, for Mahomes to throw to, and for them to barely squeak by. So that to me, I was just like, man, y'all gotta figure this offense out. You got to do some, better work during the offseason. Your coordinators, you're having a new coordinator. Hey, that coordinator be working with that offense right off the bat. As soon as they hired, we're going straight to film.
Yeah.
That's my personal thoughts. Another thing DP said, no wide receiver is okay with what offense looks like through week 2. When I wouldn't be happy with 6 catches, 35 yards total. I mean, because biggest thing is what people have to remember when it comes to wide receiver play, you're seeing statistics get played off of a lot of, bonuses.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, man, if you're only at 6 catches and 35 yards, so he's got 15 games now to get 965 yards to hit the 1,000-yard receiving. So that means he's like I said, he's got 15 games to get that. So you're talking about he's going to have to average right around 65 to 70 yards a game. I mean, so for him to get that, if that is a stipulation in his contract, that's going to affect it, because that's where you're going to start seeing people get disgruntled, because that's what happened when he was with Tennessee. When you start affecting his pocketbook, it's like, well, what the heck are you doing? Why are you sitting me? I'm going after this. I mean, we saw guys, Tom Brady did it with Gronk. He's like, man, I'm stuck at this. If I make my 100th catch, I get my I think it was like a $10,000 bonus or something like that.
Yep.
And Brady looked at him. He goes, don't worry, I got you. Sure enough, right to it came out of the game, because they were going to pull him because they were so far ahead.
Yep.
Right.
Like, no, that's the type of thing that you're going to see, especially towards mid-season. It's like, dude, if I'm not sitting at 500 yards and I got half a season,
start looking at them stats.
Exactly. And that's where it's going to be. It's like, what am I going to do? And that's where you'll start seeing the disgruntledness that AJ Brown has been known for, to do, because at the end of the day, you're affecting his wallet.
Right.
And I don't know about each one of you guys. When you start messing with my money, we're going to have issues.
Hey, there's a place northeast of Philly that they can send them to, and we can make sure you get out of there.
That's actually been the place that everybody wants him to go. Reunion.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one. But with that being said, so that's our recap for the big games that we've had for week 2 and on to week 3. What's one of the big games that are standing out to you for week 3 for each one of you guys?
I know we spoke on the Eagles briefly. I like that Rams-Eagles game. I got a couple of games. I'm gonna start with the Rams-Eagles. I want to see, can the Rams finally beat Philly? I think Philly really they've had the Rams number over the past couple of years. I actually thought the Rams were going to win that game last year. They came a couple of plays with them winning that. Saquon Barkley went off both games, especially the first one. That was I knew he was going to say that. Man, hey, Pot Doug is not out to a good start right now, man. We've been running heavy personnel. I've been meaning to talk to you about that. We're running some heavy personnel, so we're going. I think this week against the Steelers, we're gonna get Pop a lot more involved. He does have a touchdown, but numbers wise, ain't looking. It's been 2 weeks though, but yeah, I think that Steelers, not Steelers, but the Rams and the Eagles game, that's gonna be interesting. I want to see can the Rams find they rebound their team, their offense. They got they brought Stafford back to contract, got Devontae Adams. I really haven't seen the Rams play yet, but they're undefeated. They look pretty good. They just beat the Titans, and I forgot who they played week one. The Texans. They beat the Texans week one. So I want to see the Rams against these Eagles, especially against this Eagles secondary. The Rams receivers against the Eagles secondary. That's gonna be interesting. And see this young Ram defense, man. Them guys been flying around. They got some dogs on that defense, man. But let's see what they can do. Their game's in Philly, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's gonna be an interesting one. And well, of course, I know one of y'all probably say Monday Night Football, but I want to see Cowboys Bears.
Cowboys Bears.
All right. So now South says, if we beat the Rams, do we own them?
Yeah.
No.
They couldn't stop Saquon in the snow, so we'll see.
Again, that's like comparing apples and oranges. You go on. Let me figure out how to stop somebody. I'm from LA. The Rams are saying, we're from LA. We don't know what snow is. How the heck are we going to play in this stuff? So that's a little unfair, comparison.
I hope they focus on Saquon so we can get some AJ and Devontae yards for sure.
They need to step the passing game up is what they need to do. They to me, I think Jalen needs because you start relying, your defense, they start preparing for what you're running all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're at week 2 and like I said, you're at 126, is what you're averaging a game, you better start passing the ball, substantially more.
But you don't want to force it though, because if they're taking like Dallas did, Dallas kind of gave him the run. They kind of took away AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, and the Chiefs Saquon. I don't know what's his stat. He didn't have 100 yards. Saquon did he?
Mm-hmm. Saquon, against the Chiefs.
Yeah, what he had about 60, 70 yards. He had a couple big runs.
No, he had substantially more. He had 88.
Okay, well, close to 100 yards. So these two, they've been taking away the AJ Brown, and we saw what Hurts did in the Super Bowl when he wanted to take the run away. He tore him apart with Devontae Smith, AJ Brown. So they know Hurts can do it, but you don't want to force it to Brown and Smith either. Then you don't want to do that either. So just kind of take what it did. Yeah, the Eagles are fortunate to have an offense where they can beat you running and passing. I wouldn't start forcing the ball to AJ Brown, Devontae Smith. Just take whatever defense gives you.
I agree. I think that for me, it's like you got to start spreading that beyond though, because AJ Brown, he had 5 catches for 27 yards. That's averaging only 5 yards a catch. His longest was 8 yards total. It's like, dude, you need to start getting out there, 10, 12 at least.
Yeah.
Because realistically, when you're passing the ball, you need to be looking at 8 yards. When it comes to passing, your passing is 8 yards.
Yeah.
That is where you start. That's how you separate the pass and the run. If you're passing about 8, 9 yards, okay, I can get those 3 yards in there. But when you're doing a lot of these 5-yarders, when you look at it, you had Devontae Smith. He had 4 receptions, 53 yards. He averages 13 a pass, but he had one that was 28 yards. You take away that one, that drops those numbers substantially back down into the 6s. So like I said, you got to start spreading that ball a little bit more. I think that, as for that game that we are speaking of when it comes to the Rams and the Eagles, I think the Eagles will be fine. I think the biggest issue actually is Matthew Stafford and the offense. Devontae is obviously trying to learn that offense. Puka, even though he was a number 1, to me, when they had Cooper, there was never a 1 and a 2. It was always a 1A, 1B type situation. But Devontae has shown that, obviously, now that he is aged, he is not that number. It's no longer a 1A, 1B situation for Rams wide receivers. It's a 1 and a 2, in my personal opinion. So that's where I'm kind of like, okay.
How is that game not on prime time the game of the week. The still, I mean, the I keep saying the Eagles and the Rams. I think they got is Cowboys Bears going to be the 4 o'clock game. I think
It no
the
well the
Rams and
I
Eagles
mean
play at 1 o'clock. Okay,
yeah. So it just well it depends on where everyone's at. That's the problem. You
but I'm
know,
saying like the game of the week. Normally, like the national televised game everywhere is like the best game. I just feel like the Rams and Eagles should be like a 4 o'clock game, or
Yeah.
either Sunday night and had the Giants and Chiefs like an earlier. I mean, yeah, Giants Chiefs
I'm gonna
earlier.
say the battle of the winless.
Yeah, like that's crazy. I think they should swap that. I don't know how that game's not the game of the week. The Eagles and the Rams.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a good game. I'm definitely looking forward to it for sure.
Um, what's a game that stands out to you? That's right.
I am looking forward to the Commanders and the Raiders only because I want to see if JD5 doesn't play what the Commanders really look like. Lately, I feel like they haven't been guarding JD5. Of course, we all know that he's been getting hurt. I said that before. I said I felt like they didn't draft anybody to protect JD5. So I'll be kind of interested in that game. I'm also interested in the Chiefs and the Giants. I am wondering, is Patrick Mahomes going to go 0-3? Wouldn't that blow?
Oh, he's already. This is the first time he's lost in his since college that he is 0-3. You know, three. You know, it's like he could or lost 3 consecutive games. Sorry, losing the Super Bowl and now 0-2 to start the season.
Right.
You know, so that's going to be an interesting thing.
This got to be a get right game for the Chiefs.
Because I mean, Giants. Russ, I mean, it didn't
Russ.
look too.
Russ is playing like the old Russ is what he did last week.
He didn't look too bad. I mean, for the Cowboys and I mean, because of course, you know, you're playing against Dak, like Dak was in the game too, and it's just like I don't know, but I'm looking forward to that game because I'm like, did we break the Chiefs? Are the Chiefs dynasty dying down? Is it what I thought it would be that they're gonna finally be number 3 in your division and barely slide into the playoffs if that wild card?
Yeah. Actually, we just showed right there. You know, Down South says it should be obviously the game.
4 o'clock game.
They have a lot of primetime games this year, so there is a limit. Right? Is this question? They do try to make sure every team does have a primetime game, and of course they favor obviously the reigning champions. You'll see that a lot. As for the Raiders and Commanders, Marcus can win a game against the Raiders.
And Marcus, though, it's Mariota.
That's a sneaky, interesting game too.
Max Crosby is going to make Marcus Mariota run all over the place. So, with that being said, I mean, I don't think I have the Raiders winning that game. I think even with Jaden Daniels. I will say this with the defense that the Raiders have. Okay. When it comes to that game that they just played against the Chargers, we saw, Geno Smith played. He has a game, he has a tendency once he's down, he likes to, try and squeeze everything in. Well, he threw the 3 picks. He does know Pete Carroll's system, because they played obviously in Seattle. Now, with that being said, he is also learning Chip Kelly's new system. And the O-line, they struggled drastically with that D-line, at the second half of the game.
Why couldn't that Geno Smith show up week 1 against the Patriots? What I want to know.
Saying Chip Kelly's like nails on a chalkboard to me.
Like, why couldn't he play? Why couldn't he throw 3 interceptions week 1 in New England? But then he messed up the bed, pooped the bed against the daggone Chargers. We see how crazy it works. But what about them flying West Coast to DC on a short week? I think that matters a little bit too. They haven't really got AstraZeneca going yet. I'm interested in that game. I'm with you, Mark, though. I think if Jaden was playing, he was healthy, I would take Washington at home with the Vegas flying West Coast, flying to the East Coast. But I think Marcus Mariota has he started a game and like when last time he started? I think he started last year one game.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna lean towards the Raiders in that one.
I actually have the Raiders. Of course, everyone told me I was crazy when I picked the Raiders to win the division. I said at the beginning that you're going to see a split between the Chargers and the Raiders, and I said that both of them were actually going to be splitting, losing. It's going to be the home team that loses. So, but as for the rest of the West, we have down south saying no way the Giants are going to beat the Chiefs. Um, I'm,
I say down south.
I,
We see
I,
something like
you
this.
know, he also, he says, we do own the Chiefs. Um, and the emphasis, as I like to say, screw Bama. Well, down south likes to say, fuck you.
We do
So
not like that name.
so for me, actually the big game that I have that's kind of standing out to me actually is the Monday night game with the Lions and the Ravens.
Yeah.
We saw the Lions do what they did when it comes to putting up the points on the Bears, which it was the Bears. You're going to see what the Lions can do now against a good defense with the Ravens. Now, if they're putting up, 35 points now, here's the thing. You guys have to remember, the Bills beat the Ravens 41-40. So that tells you what is wrong. Is it the secondary issue? Because obviously we know Josh Allen, is a passing quarterback. But when they played against the Ravens, it wasn't until the second half that they actually ended up putting those numbers. The first half, he struggled quite drastically in the passing game. So I mean, that was one of the things. But the second half was where he truly stepped it up. So that's what we're going to see. Is Jared Goff going to be the guy that just won Offensive Player of the Week? With what he did with 5 touchdowns, a 158.3 passer rating. I mean, so
that is going to be a good game. That's another game that's on my radar.
Yeah, so that one is actually probably the biggest game. The game that I think they should not televise, they should not do anything. You just give both of them a draw. Is Battle of the Backups, as I like to call it, with the Bengals and the Vikings. It's like just take an extra week off. I mean,
which backup do you have for the Bengals and the Vikings?
Jake Browning, or I don't even know who is Minnesota's backup.
Carson Wentz.
Carson Wentz.
Oh, just kidding. He's not that bad of a name. He is a bad name.
I'm going to say this. When it comes to that game, they need to just run the Wildcat. Both teams just run the Wildcat. Just, hey, this is what we're going to do. Yeah. Jake Browning, he did get, they did get the winless last week, after he came in. But to see JJ go down, that's another guy. Obviously he's come back off of ACL. First game that they had last year done for the season. Comes back now in the second game. He's down again. The whole thing with turf toe, he's, when it comes to Joe Burrow,
I tried to look that up to see what kind of injury it was because it sounded
so turf toe is the complete incorrect name to call it. It makes it sound like you're a sissy is what it does.
Like
but no, turf toe is so. Let me explain to everyone real quick. Turf toe. Now take your hand, take your finger, bend that thing all the way back as far as it can go until it snaps. The ligament snaps in the bottom of the joint. So the ball of the foot is what happens. And so every time you step on it, it's like you got pins and needles that you're constantly stepping on. So like I said, calling it turf toe, to me, I'm like, man, that does not do it injustice. It makes like, oh, you got turf toe. It's like, oh, you're a sissy.
I felt like it's like a carpet burn or something. They say.
Yeah, no, it's actually a torn ligament that's in the ball of the big toe is what it is. So it is something that can be very painful. It can require surgery.
So he's probably out for the year, or just I think he's out for the year.
So Burrow is projected because they're saying his is actually severe enough that they're looking at surgery. He's trying to get a second opinion, but his is going to be a 3-month process.
So basically, if they're in it later on, he could come in. If not, I wouldn't risk him coming back. The way he always get hurt, it'd be no point him coming back.
He's always hurt. I also think they need to find people to protect him as well.
Yeah. The other thing that you have, obviously, we have Brock Purdy who is out. We saw Mac Jones come in. I'm just going to say this: Mac Jones did a decent job when he, that first year when he was in New England. Left, obviously, he struggled the second year. Everyone knows the second year, everyone struggles, sophomore slumps. But for him to come in on a short week and do what he did, You know,
It was
did
the
he look
Saints.
exactly? You know, he looked decent, but again, I agree, it was the Saints. Um, now, so that's going to be, how long is that going to happen? Now, if Mac Jones, now here's a good question.
Mm.
Do If Mac Jones is able to sit there and run this offense, let's say Brock is out for 6 weeks, okay?
Well, they say he's back this week.
It hasn't been announced yet.
I
There's
think
speculation.
Yeah.
There's speculation, but he's got a DMP for practice. He still hasn't practiced yet this week. And we're at Wednesday now. So that's where it's like, okay, if he's back, yeah. But now, could you see a team like the Bengals calling the Niners like, hey, look, we need to figure out how to stay in this thing because Jake Browning's not going to cut it.
Well, they can go get Kirk Cousins.
But his contract.
Just don't come for Tanner.
His contract is so horrendous that it's like you're going to have to eat part of that.
Mm-hmm.
And if he figured out how to restructure it, but Cousins, he ain't going to restructure it. His contract is fully guaranteed.
Yeah.
So he's getting paid no matter what. There's nothing they can do about it. So, but yeah. So as for we got the mogul that actually, first real quick, Down South says Ravens beat the Lions bad last year, and then we got the mogul who says they're gonna, when it comes to that game, the Lions are gonna get clapped. I don't know. The other thing the mogul says he's actually taking Carson when it comes to battle of the backups, and now Down South does make a good point. 3 months is the rest of the year. He goes, so they're cooked again this year. I'm just like,
yeah, was that game last year when Baltimore beat Detroit? Was it year 4 last? I remember they whipped them bad.
Last year.
It was early. Okay.
Yeah, it was early last year. But again, it's good to get losses out at the beginning of the season. It's like, okay, I got to rejuvenate. I got to do what I got to do. Down South says, of course, the Bengals love their backup. The Bengals might love their backup, but I'll tell you right now, the fans sure don't. I know quite a few Bengals fans, and I've looked at a lot of things, and they're just like, dude, Jake Browning is not the answer. And are we really having a lesson on turf toe? Yeah.
We are, because I'm a girl, and we just need to understand what turf toe is.
Yeah, sometimes we have to explain these things because people might think like, oh, he just did this. Oh, okay.
I really honestly thought it was like a rug burn on his toe, like he scraped his cleat. You make it sound painful. Like, just say it's a bent backward toe.
Well, because it's not just a bent backward toe. I mean, when you do something like that, it's a little more than just a bent backward toe.
I couldn't.
That's the thing. Is there a difference between a jammed finger and a dislocated finger? I mean, there's a difference between the two.
They both hurt.
Exactly. Down South says, I thought turf toe was what happened to your feet when you sat on the toilet too long.
Oh, wow.
Oh, man. So with that, now we are going to finish up actually with our power rankings. We've seen obviously SLM. We're seeing actually a challenge that goes out on a weekly basis between the Marshall Experience and also John SLM Bets. So we got a guy who does betting. You also got a guy that obviously knows fantasy football.
Yeah.
So we are making sure that those are getting released every Thursday morning with their head-to-heads and who they think is going to go. Of course, but here at SLM, we like to do our power rankings and with our top five power rankings for the week. So obviously it's going to change. Sometimes we'll see things the same. So with that being said, Kendall, what do you have for your power rankings as of right now?
I got Buffalo Bills at 2-0. I got the Eagles at 2-0. I'm going Green Bay because I love how that defense find a way. I like how Michael Parsons is looking. I like how Jordan Love is playing. They're 2-0 at 3. I'm going with the Rams at 4. I like what I'm saying from the Rams. And 5, we got to give some love to the Chargers, man. Small market team. Chargers been balling. Justin Herbert has looked good. He throws a pretty tail football, man. I like how he throws that football. And Quentin Johnson is starting to play good. They got Lad McConkey. They got Khalil Mack got hurt. I think they put him on IR day, so I think that might hurt him a little bit. They got Derrick J. They still got some guys on that defense. So I'm going Bills, Eagles, Green Bay, Rams, Chargers.
All right. Real quick, the mogul actually says he's saying Shador to the Bengals. I'll tell you this. Actually, chosen from the mogul, and I had a conversation this week. And my thing was when it comes to the Bears, I will say I would take, and I'm not a fan of Shador either. I think he was kind of given a little bit, but he's a person that wants to work. He wants, like, look, I know I got to get better. I know what I got to do. When it comes to the preseason, the celebration, I'm like, bro, you're in preseason. You have no reason to be celebrating. I'm like, that's just, I'm old school. Play respect for the game. But with that being said, I would take Shador Sanders over Caleb Williams any day of the week.
Interesting take.
And that right there, I mean, for me to say something like that, I'm like, and like I said, I'm not a big fan of Shador, but Caleb to me is just the bust. I see a higher upside with Shador than I do Caleb Williams. Real quick, we're going to put down south out there. He's got Bills, Packers, Chargers, Tampa, and Philly. Now,
okay,
down south, do you have it in that order? That's the question.
I forgot all about Tampa, but I had them right outside my top 5, though. Tampa.
They're my 7th one.
Okay. So real quick, I actually have Chosen, who's normally, obviously, he's not here tonight. He has his power rankings as the Bills, Packers, Eagles, Chargers, Ravens in that order. Sarai, what do you have?
So I have Eagles, Packers, Bills, Ravens, Chargers / Rams. Rams honorable mention. I don't know. You can intertwine those.
There ain't no honorable mention. We don't need to give out no dang participation.
You have Buccaneers at 7.
I have Bucks at 7. So I feel like it's either Rams then Chargers or Chargers or then Rams. But I do have Bucks. But Eagles, right. Packers, and Bills. Probably Bills, maybe 2. But my Eagles still be number 1.
No, okay. I am not a person that ever likes to put my team at number 1. You can go back to power rankings from last year. I don't think there was one time last year I ever put Green Bay at number 1. But as of right now, with what they've done on the season, I actually do have the Packers at number 1. I got the Eagles at 2. I got Bills at 3, Ravens at 4, and I got the Bucks at 5. To me, I don't think the Packers are going to stay there. I don't. A lot of people try to say, well, what about the Lions? Well, I mean, they had the loss against Green Bay, so that automatically has to put them lower. And do you give them big credit for the BTA that they put on the Bears? I'm like, I can't do it. Same thing with the Bills. With the Bills and Ravens, like you saw a good game, but you can't put the Bills over the Ravens over the Bills.
You can't. Yeah, I think that first game, the Bills and the Ravens really kind of showed, or kind of, for me, that's what kind of determined where the Ravens were actually that game.
The Colts, man, I do, they're pushing.
It's a good team, but it's consistent.
Exactly. I don't think Danny Dimes is the answer. But I just think with what Tampa did, and how they're playing, it's like they're finding a way to. They're going to always be a comeback team. Baker Mayfield, I don't know what he does, but the dude just manages to find a way to win. Until the playoffs. I mean, he's basically the new Dak Prescott. I can get my team and win the division, but I don't know what to do after that. So I think that's like his Super Bowls. As long as he wins the division, he's good with that. I don't know. But Down South did say actually that was his order. So there, of course, you've got everyone here, at SLM, with Chosen One, myself, Sarai. We also have had Down South. We also had Ken Pat Talks. All of us let our power rankings out there. Those are going to get posted up on social media. But on top of that, of course, be looking out for that pick'ems and make sure you're paying attention. because you're also going to catch the show from the Marshall Experience. He actually is going to be releasing his fantasy takes. I want to say, I think it's tomorrow or it might be
Tomorrow.
later tonight. So you got to get ready because obviously that big game is tomorrow. So that is going to be put out first thing in the morning. So with that being said, we just want to say thank you to everyone that has hopped in on here on the live, the comments, everything like that. We appreciate you. The one thing that we do always like to show and take the time, and we of course have the nonprofit, the great nonprofit that Sarai is a part of. And yes, we struggle with this all the time. I don't know why we always struggle with this, but for some reason it always does it to us. So with that being said, Sarai, tell us a little bit about Hearts and House.
Yeah, so Hearts and House is a 501c3 nonprofit animal rescue here in the DFW. What it basically is a labor of love. There's tons of volunteers that help abandon dogs and cats within our area. We do the vetting. We get them into an appropriate home. And so if you are interested in adopting a cat or a dog, feel free to visit our website. You can scan that QR code, click on the Adopt tab on the top right-hand corner, and it'll give you all the available dogs and cats that we currently have. Make sure you check out our social media because we also post the Pet of the Week, which is super exciting. You get to know a little bit about the dog and the personality and the character of it. And so if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out. But yeah, Hearts and House Rescue.
There it is. And of course, hit that QR code, just scan it with your phone. Guess what? Technology is a great thing. And it takes you right to it. And of course, last but not least, at Sports Lounge Media, there is our QR code that takes you straight to our website. We are working on our blogs and all that good stuff. So that is coming up. But again, thank you, everyone. We appreciate you all, and everything that you guys are doing. So with that being said, again, we hope you all have a blessed night. And again, today being Hump Day is what day?
Sports Lounge Media Day.
There it is.